in the heart of the Wild West, where the desert stretched endlessly under a vast sky filled with stars, there was a ranch that stood quietly amidst the solitude. The Harper Ranch was not grand or famous, but it had its own charm, a modest home surrounded by fields of golden wheat and grazing horses beneath an endless blue sky. It was a place where life seemed simple, predictable even, until one night when everything changed. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, John Harper would call his horses into their pens. One by one, they obeyed, tired from a day's work under the blazing sun. But there was one horse, Shadow, who refused to enter the pen. Night after night, he would stand at the edge of the riverbank, staring intently at the water as if drawn to some hidden secret beneath its surface. Little did John know then, this peculiar behavior would unravel mysteries buried deeper than anyone could have imagined. The Harpers were a family like many others in those days. Simple folk try to carve out a living in a harsh land. John Harper was a man of few words, weathered by years of labor under the unforgiving sun. His hands bore calluses from years of plowing fields and tending cattle. Beside him stood Sarah, his wife, whose once bright eyes now carried shadows of sorrow she rarely spoke about. Together, they ran the ranch with quiet determination, though an unspoken sadness lingered between them since the loss of their daughter Emily years ago. But something strange began to unfold on the Harper Ranch. As days turned into weeks, John noticed more than just Shadow's odd behavior. There were whispers in the wind, faint sounds that seemed to echo through the stillness of night. Shadows danced across the walls of their cabin when no light should have been casting them. And then came the dreams, vivid, haunting visions of a child laughing near the river, her laughter turning into cries that woke John drenched in sweat. One moonlit night, unable to sleep any longer, John decided to investigate what had been troubling him so deeply. Armed only with a lantern, he ventured towards the riverbank where Shadow often stood. The air was cool, carrying the scent of damp earth and flowing water. As he approached, the sound of rustling leaves caught his attention. Peering closer, he saw something floating downstream, a piece of wood carved with intricate patterns, designs that stirred memories long buried within him. His heart raced as he reached for it, pulling it from the water. In the flickering light of his lantern, he recognized the carvings instantly. They were similar to ones found on an old chest back at the cabin, a chest that held items belonging to Emily before she passed away. A chill ran down his spine as realization dawned upon him. Could it be possible? Was this somehow connected to his lost daughter? Meanwhile, Sarah too had begun noticing changes around the ranch. Flowers bloomed unexpectedly in barren patches of soil near the riverbank. Strange markings appeared overnight on trees close to the water's edge, symbols resembling those ancient petroglyphs seen deep within forgotten canyons. She felt an inexplicable pull toward these signs, a yearning to understand their meaning despite her fear. Together, John and Sarah delved further into uncovering the mystery surrounding their ranch and the river. Each discovery led them closer to truths they hadn't dared confront. Along the way, they encountered unexpected allies, neighbors who shared tales of similar occurrences along different stretches of the same river. Stories of children who drowned yet left behind clues pointing to another realm beyond death. Tales of spirits seeking resolution rather than revenge. As they pieced together fragments of history intertwined with folklore, the couple faced moments of terror and revelation. One stormy night, while inspecting newly discovered artifacts by the river, a sudden gust extinguished their lanterns, plunging them into darkness. From the shadows emerged a figure, not human, yet familiar. Its presence evoked both comfort and dread, reminding them of Emily yet existing outside normal comprehension. Through trials filled with suspense and emotion, John and Sarah learned that sometimes love transcends life itself, that letting go doesn't mean forgetting. Instead, it means allowing those we've loved to find peace wherever they may reside. Their journey revealed layers of reality previously unseen, challenging their beliefs about life, death, and everything in between. As the nights grew longer and the air turned crisp with the promise of autumn, John Harper found himself drawn to the river more frequently. Each visit brought new revelations, though none provided clear answers. The artifacts they had collected, a carved piece of wood, a faded ribbon tangled among reeds, and an old locket washed ashore, seemed to whisper secrets from another time. Yet, no matter how hard he tried, John couldn't decipher their meaning. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the desert landscape, Sarah joined him by the riverbank. She carried a lantern, its soft glow illuminating her face, etched with lines of worry and fatigue. For years, she had buried her grief deep within herself, afraid that acknowledging it might tear open wounds too painful to heal. But now, standing beside the water where so many mysteries lay hidden, she felt a strange sense of clarity. "Do you think she's trying to tell us something?" Sarah asked softly, her voice barely audible over the gentle lapping of the river. John glanced at her, surprised by the question. He had avoided thinking about Emily for so long, convinced that dwelling on her death would only bring heartache. Yet here they were, piecing together clues that seemed to point directly back to their lost daughter. "I don't know," he admitted, his tone heavy with uncertainty. "But if there's even a chance, we owe it to her to find out." The two stood in silence, the weight of their shared past pressing down upon them. The ranch stretched behind them, quiet and still under the fading light. In the distance, Shadow grazed near the tree line, his dark silhouette blending seamlessly with the dusk. There was something almost supernatural about the way the horse lingered around the river, as though drawn by forces beyond human comprehension. That night, under a sky scattered with countless stars, John and Sarah decided to explore deeper into the woods surrounding the river. They had heard tales from neighbors about strange happenings along its banks, visions of ghostly figures, unexplained noises, and objects appearing out of thin air. Though skeptical at first, the evidence they had uncovered made them reconsider these stories. Perhaps there was truth buried beneath the folklore. Armed with lanterns and a determination born of desperation, they ventured further than ever before. The forest grew denser as they moved away from the familiar terrain of the ranch, the trees towering above them like ancient sentinels guarding secrets long forgotten. The air grew cooler, carrying with it the faint scent of pine and damp earth. Somewhere far off, an owl hooted, its call echoing through the darkness. It wasn't long before they stumbled upon something extraordinary. Hidden beneath a tangle of roots was a small wooden box, partially buried in the soil. Its surface was worn smooth by time, but the intricate carvings etched into its lid were unmistakable. John knelt beside it, his hands trembling as he reached out to touch it. Slowly, he pried it open, revealing its contents. Letters written in elegant handwriting, photographs yellow with age, and a delicate bracelet that looked eerily similar to one Emily used to wear. Sarah gasped, covering her mouth with her hand, as tears welled up in her eyes. This can't be," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "How is this possible?" John didn't answer immediately. Instead, he carefully examined each item, searching for some clue that might explain their presence. Among the papers, he found a letter addressed simply to "My dearest parents." His breath caught as he unfolded it, recognizing the handwriting instantly. It was Emily's. "Listen to this," he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil brewing inside him. "I know you must think I'm gone forever, but I'm not. I'm waiting for you to come find me. Please don't give up." Sarah sank to her knees, clutching the bracelet tightly in her hand. Her sobs echoed softly through the forest, breaking the eerie silence that had enveloped them. John pulled her close, holding her as they both grappled with the impossible reality unfolding before them. For hours, they sat there, poring over the items and discussing what they meant. Little did they know, their discovery was merely the beginning of a journey far stranger and more dangerous than anything they could have imagined. Days passed, and the Harpers threw themselves into uncovering the truth. They scoured every inch of the land surrounding the river, following trails left behind by the mysterious artifacts. Along the way, they encountered other families who claimed similar experiences, children who drowned yet continued to communicate through signs and symbols. Some spoke of dreams filled with vivid imagery, while others described encounters with spectral figures that vanished as quickly as they appeared. Despite the growing body of evidence, doubt lingered in John's mind. Was this all real, or were they succumbing to wishful thinking? One afternoon, as he worked in the fields, he noticed something peculiar. A gust of wind swept through the area, carrying with it the sound of laughter, childlike laughter. It came from the direction of the river, soft but unmistakable, his heart pounding. John dropped his tools and ran toward the source of the noise. When he arrived, he froze in astonishment. Floating in the middle of the river was a toy boat, intricately crafted and painted bright blue. On its side, in tiny letters, was inscribed a single word, Emily. Overwhelmed, John waded into the water and retrieved the boat. As he held it in his hands, memories flooded back. Memories of afternoons spent watching Emily play with her favorite toys, her laughter ringing out across the yard. This was no coincidence. Somehow, Emily was reaching out to them, leaving pieces of herself scattered along the riverbank. But why and how? As the weeks went on, the occurrences grew bolder. Shadows moved where there should have been none. Whispers carried on the wind formed coherent words, and objects once thought lost reappeared in unexpected places. The ranch itself began to feel different, charged with energy that defied explanation. Even Shadow seemed to sense the change, his behavior becoming increasingly erratic. One stormy night, as lightning illuminated the sky and thunder rumbled through the valley, John and Sarah experienced something that would alter their lives forever. Seeking shelter from the downpour, they retreated to the cabin, their thoughts consumed by the mystery that had taken hold of their world. But sleep eluded them both, and as midnight approached, they heard it, the unmistakable sound of footsteps outside. Grabbing lanterns, they ventured into the rain-soaked night. The wind howled around them, whipping their hair and clothes into disarray. At the edge of the property, near the riverbank, they stopped dead in their tracks. Standing there, drenched and undeterred, was a figure cloaked in shadows. At first, neither dared approach. Fear gripped them, mingling with awe and disbelief. But as the figure stepped forward, emerging from the gloom, they saw her clearly. It was Emily, or at least, it looked like her. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with longing, and her clothing soaked through, clinging to her form. "Mom, Dad," she murmured, her voice tinged with sadness. "You finally came." Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she reached out, desperate to touch her daughter. But just as she extended her hand, Emily dissolved into mist, vanishing into the stormy night. Left behind was a single object, a key, rusted but unmistakably real. Clutching the key tightly, John and Sarah returned to cabin, their minds racing with questions. What did it unlock? Where had it come from? And most importantly, why had Emily chosen this moment to reveal herself? In the days that followed, the Harpers focused their efforts on solving the final puzzle. Following leads hinted at by the key and the various artifacts they had gathered, they discovered an old map tucked away in the attic. It depicted a network of caves hidden deep within the mountains bordering their property. Intrigued and driven by hope, they set out to explore them. The journey was arduous, testing their resolve and endurance. Climbing steep cliffs and navigating treacherous paths, they eventually reached the entrance to the cave system. Inside, the air was cool and damp, the walls covered in ancient carvings depicting scenes of life and death intertwined. At the center of the main chamber stood an altar, atop which rested a crystal orb glowing faintly with an ethereal light. Approaching cautiously, John placed the key onto the altar. Instantly, the orb flared brightly, bathing the room in radiant hues. From the depths of the cave emerged figures, spirits of those who had drowned in the river throughout history. Among them was Emily, her appearance solidified and serene. "You've done well," she said, her voice calm yet filled with emotion. "Now you understand. The river isn't just water. It's a bridge between worlds. My time there has ended, but yours continues. Take care of each other, and remember me always." With those parting words, Emily faded away, joining the other spirits in their eternal rest. The orb dimmed, and the cave fell silent once more. Returning to the ranch, John and Sarah knew their lives would never be the same. Though Emily was truly gone, they carried her memory with them, finding solace in the knowledge that love transcends even death itself. And as they gazed upon the river flowing peacefully through their land, they understood its true purpose, not as a barrier, but as a connection between the living and the departed. The days that followed were a blur of emotion for John and Sarah Harper. They returned to their ranch with heavy hearts, but also a newfound sense of peace. The river, once a source of mystery and unease, now held a different meaning for them. It was no longer just a body of water cutting through their land. It was a bridge, a link to the past, and perhaps even to the future. As they stood on the riverbank one crisp morning, watching the sun rise over the horizon, casting golden hues upon the flowing waters, John felt something stir within him. A question lingered in his mind, one he had been afraid to ask until now. "Sarah," he began, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside, "you think she's really at peace?" Sarah turned to him, her eyes reflecting the sunlight, glistening with unshed tears. "I believe so," she replied softly. "Emily always had a way of making us feel her presence, even when she wasn't here physically. And now, it feels like she's found her place." John nodded, though deep down, he wondered if there was more to uncover. The artifacts they had gathered, the strange occurrences, and Emily's final message, all pointed to something larger than they could comprehend. But for now, they chose to focus on the present, cherishing the moments they had together and honoring the memory of their daughter. Weeks turned into months, and life on the Harper Ranch resumed its usual rhythm. Fields were plowed, crops harvested, and horses tended to with care. Yet, every now and then, John or Sarah would catch glimpses of things that couldn't be explained, a fleeting shadow in the corner of their eye, a soft laugh carried by the wind, or the sound of small footsteps padding to the house late at night. These reminders kept Emily alive in their hearts, ensuring that her spirit remained a part of their daily lives. One evening, as the stars began to twinkle above, John decided to revisit the cave system where they had last seen Emily. He felt compelled to return, driven by an instinct he couldn't ignore. Armed with lanterns and provisions, he ventured back into mountains, retracing the path they had taken before. The journey was familiar yet daunting, each step bringing back memories of their quest to uncover the truth. When he reached the entrance to the caves, he hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of what lay ahead. Pushing forward, he descended into the depths, the flickering light of his lantern casting eerie shadows on the walls. Inside the main chamber, the altar still stood, though the crystal orb had dimmed significantly. Its glow was faint, almost imperceptible, but John knew it held significance. As he approached, he noticed something new, an inscription etched into the stone base of the altar. Running his fingers over the grooves, he traced the words carefully. Asterisk, to those who seek, answers will come when the time is right. Asterisk. A chill ran down his spine as he read the message aloud. What did it mean? Had they truly uncovered everything there was to know, or was there more hidden beneath the surface? Determined to find out, John examined the altar closely, searching for any clues that might lead to further revelations. His efforts paid off when he discovered a hidden compartment beneath the altar. Inside, nestled among layers of dust and cobwebs, was a journal. Its leather cover was cracked and worn, but the pages within were intact, filled with handwritten notes in a language John didn't recognize at first glance. Intrigued, he took the journal with him, resolving to study it further once he returned home. Back at the ranch, John spent countless nights poring over the journal, trying to decipher its contents. With Sarah's help, they pieced together fragments of information, gradually unraveling the secrets contained within. The journal belonged to a man named Elias Blackwood, a traveler from another era, who had documented his encounters with the supernatural near the same river. According to Blackwood's writings, the river wasn't merely a natural phenomenon. It was a conduit, a gateway between realms. Those who drowned in its waters weren't lost forever. Instead, they entered a liminal space, existing between life and death until certain conditions were met. Blackwood speculated that these conditions involved completing unfinished business or finding closure with loved ones left behind. This revelation struck a chord with John and Sarah. It explained why Emily had stayed connected to them for so long. She hadn't been able to move on until they acknowledged her presence and accepted her passing. But the journal hinted at something else as well. Other spirits trapped in the river might not have been as fortunate. Some lingered indefinitely, unable to find peace due to unresolved conflicts or unspoken truths. Determined to help, John and Sarah made it their mission to assist these lost souls. They revisited the river frequently, leaving offerings and speaking words of comfort, hoping their actions would reach those in need. Over time, they noticed subtle changes. Fewer shadows flitting across the landscape, fewer whispers carried by the wind. It was as if their efforts were making a difference. One fateful night, as they sat by the river under a canopy of stars, something extraordinary happened. The water shimmered brightly, reflecting the celestial lights above in a way that seemed almost magical. From the depths emerged figures, not just Emily this time, but others too, spirits who had been trapped for years, perhaps even decades. Each one approached John and Sarah, expressing gratitude through gestures and silent communication. Among them was a young boy, no older than 10, whose face bore an expression of pure relief. He placed a small wooden whistle in Sarah's hand, a token of thanks for freeing him from his torment. Another figure, an elderly woman, handed John a locket containing a photograph of her family. Her eyes sparkled with joy as she mouthed the words, "Thank you." Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she watched these spirits find peace. For the first time since Emily's passing, she felt a genuine sense of fulfillment. Their suffering had given purpose to their grief, transforming it into something meaningful. As dawn broke over the horizon, signaling the end of the mystical event, John and Sarah stood hand in hand, marveling at the transformation around them. The river flowed serenely, its waters clearer and calmer than ever before. Birds chirped melodiously in the trees, and the air carried a sweetness that hadn't been present before. From that day forward, the Harpers dedicated themselves to maintaining harmony between the living and the departed. They became guardians of the river, protectors of its secrets, and advocates for those who needed guidance. Though challenges arose along the way, they faced them with courage, knowing they were fulfilling a higher calling. And so, the story of the Harper Ranch and the mysterious river became legend, passed down through generations. To some, it was merely a tale of love and loss. To others, it was proof of the supernatural forces that shape our world. But for John and Sarah, it was a testament to the enduring power of connection, the bond that transcends time, space, and even death itself.